Now we are going to discuss a important concept known as static keyword. So in the static keyword only we have three types, not types as well, because so in that static keyword we have for variables. So for variables we have static keyword, and for methods also we have. For variables and methods both we have static keyword, and finally we have something called static block. So this is very important, static block, so that we can understand the basic concept. So static blocks helps us to reduce the number of times the static variables are initialized when object is created. So let's understand it's practically, so that you can understand what is the static keyword and what is the main use of that. So for that purpose I will come up and I will create a class that is known as mobile. So you can see I created a class named mobile. In that I will take a brand I will take. So I initialize brand. Next I will initialize the price. I will take the price. So next I will take the name of the item, the name of the product. So these are the three things that I have initialized. Now I initialize a method name show. So basically I initialized a method called show. In this we need to have some printings. So first of all, what you need to print? So I want to print the brand. So with the brand, what you want to attach with that? So I will attach with the semicolon, and I will print all the three statements in a single line, so that perfection will be good. I hope you know how to print that statements. So I just quickly doing myself. You can just understand this thing. So you can see simply I just did nothing. Just I have initialized a class here called mobile. In this mobile class I have just this instance variables. I have brand, price, name of the mobile. So after that I have some printing some statements in the console. So now I will come in the main class, that is demo class. So in the main, so I will say object mobile object 1. So I will say new keyword. With the help of new keyword I will say mobile. So this is the scenario. So for this object 1 I will be going to assign all the three values. So quickly I will fill all the three values. So object dot 1 brand, suppose say Samsung. So for the object 1 define the price, object 1. So for this object 1 I'm going to say let's say $1,200 for the object 1. So the name would be similar. So this name is very important. So as this is the string I will say smartphone. So from this what you understood? So for the object you have declared an object and you have initialized with some variables. So in the similar fashion I will take an object 2 as well for your explanation. So here I will make changes to object 2, and as this is same, so change all the variables over here down and here as well. So after changing all the variables, change the product values as well, and the type will object name will be same because both are smartphones only. Now the main thing comes here on. Now if I run that, wait, I created an object but it did not call this void show method. So I will come down and I will say object 1 dot show. I hope you know these concepts. This is from the previous concept object and classes. So simply call with the help of the object 2 also, just simply call the show method. So with this what it happens is it will be going to print in the console. So let's say what it will print. So you can say I am printing Samsung and the smartphone, Samsung price and its type. So next object 2, for object 2 also we have Apple and price, and it's also printing smartphone. So now my question is, so this string name if you observe both are smartphones. So the category is same, category or name is same or category is same. So do you think initialization these many times is creation of these many objects is necessary for this single category type? So that is not necessary. So that we should have some kind of restriction or some kind of same thing throughout all the code. So for that purpose we have something called static keyword. So what this static keyword will do? This is known as variable. This is static variable. So what this static variable do? So the name is variable. Here name is a variable of type string, but we are changing it to static. So what is meant by static over here? So basically it is showing warning over here. So let me read the warning so that you can understand that. Accessing static field name. So mobile static string name. So basically what it is saying is you are declaring the name as a static. Then why are you initializing with object 1? Because for every time you have smartphone you are initializing with this object. So remove this object. You can initialize with the class name itself. This mobile is there, right? That is this mobile. So you can simply say throughout this mobile, throughout this whole code, wherever you see the name, that will be definitely your smartphone. It will be not changing, it will be definitely the smartphone itself. Why? We have named it as static. So that is the reason in this class you have static means that's with name means that's fixed. So you can simply initialize the smartphone with mobile, and you here also you can change that. With the class name only you can call this smartphone. So this is the one of the use of declaring static variables. So this is known as static variables. So I hope you understood what is meant by static variables. Now if I print and check, see there is no change in the output, but there is only one advantage with this. So there is no need to initialize all the time the common things that smartphone with the help of the object one. You can simply initialize with this mobile class. So now we understood what is meant by static keyword, static variable keyword. Now we are going to understand what is meant by static method. Means those are functions. So what I will do is just I will reuse this code. So I will come down and I will say public void, and after that I will say static. So as you are having show, it is showing some error, so change the name. So it is showing some error even after you are changing the method name as well, because see the name is the static, only the name is static, not all the variables are static. So if I change all the variables to static, let's see what happens. So I change it to static here, I also change it to static here. Then you can see there is no error over here, there is no error over here also. So simply we can also mention object mobile over here, but that's not the case. We should not do that, because this object one, why we are declaring object one will have separate brand name, and object one will have separate price, object 2 will have separate brand, and object 2 will have separate price. So that's the reason. So but that category will be same, so that's why we are initializing with static. So the brand should not be static and the price should not also be static. So in the static method we have some error. So name can be used inside this, because static variables, so this is static variable, you can see over here, static variables can be used in static methods, there is no issue in that. But this brand and this price have an issue, because those are different. You can see over here, brand is Samsung, price is 1200. So brand is Apple, price is 1500. So suppose if I say not with the help of this, so I will say mobile dot show one, not show. So basically now you can understand what is the main issue. So if I call with the help of class, not with the object, I am again saying, so these are with the help of object, so this will be used for these objects. Why this will be used with objects? Because those are separate brand and item. So brand and item, so that this can be object 1 and object 2 will be going here for the show, and brand is separate, price is separate, and name is same, so it will be directly printing like this in the console. So it will be directly printing in the console. Now the main issue is, so if you call the mobile, means mobile class, that is mobile class, inside this mobile class if you call directly the static method show one, so it will be going to call the show one method. But the main issue is, why it is showing red color, the main issue is you are calling show one, as this is a static method, so brand, price and name. So the name is no problem, because name is smartphone, that's okay. But what is brand and price? You are calling with the help of, not with the object, you are calling with the help of the class name. So this is the class name, with the mobile you are calling that, not with the object. So if you call with the object one, so you can see, if you call this with the help of object one, so it will be simply going to print the object 1 details in the terminal. If you simply call with the object 2, it will be going to call print in object 2 details in the terminal. But you are calling not with the object, you are calling with the mobile. With the mobile means with the class name you are calling. So what is the brand and what is the price? So directly you cannot have static, so this is static method, so directly you cannot do that. So if you want to do, you have to pass the reference object. So I am passing object reference, so object 1 I am passing over here. So if you are passing object 1 here, you should also accept a type of mobile object. So if you see, simply we are passing an object over here, and we are taking reference in this object, and we can simply say, so come here, so you can simply with the help of that reference you can simply refer the brand, and you can, with the help of this object, you can simply refer the price, because those two are only right variables. So object dot brand we are getting, object dot price we are getting, and the name is already static, you can see here. So the name is already static, that is smartphone. So this is object. So as we are passing object 1, so object 1 this is, so object 1 dot brand, so that is Samsung, object 1 dot price, that is 1200. So we are passing here. So right now it will be going to print the details for the object 1. So you can see this printing for these two statements, and this printing for this, with the help of the static method. I will write here for you. So this is known as static method. So I hope you understood what is meant by static variable and what is meant by static method. So this is known as static method. So static methods you cannot able to access directly. So static methods can be accessed with the help of the object reference. So we are passing object 1 over here. Sorry, we are passing object 1 over here with the help of class name. So in the class name we are receiving the same function. So one, we are receiving an object, and we are so I hope you understood how to print the static method and static variables. Now there is something different called static block. So now what is meant by static block? So understood what is meant by static block. I will be going to remove this thing. Okay, and now I will be going to, yeah, for your understanding I will just simply remove this one, and I will simply remove this static method also for your understanding. Now with the help of this constructor, so constructor, every time you initialized an object, so now here you can see an object obj1 is created here. So every time you created an object, then the constructor will be called in the class. So this is object of mobile, so it will go to the mobile, so it will print whatever is there in the constructor. So if you do not initialize the constructor, it will be automatically building its constructor by its own. Suppose if I say, so how to declare our own constructor? So let's say public. So the constructor method name would be mobile, so that should be the same as. So the constructor is nothing but a function itself, but it will look something like this. The name of the method should be same as the class name, and it will open like this. And if you want, you can take arguments, or if you don't want, you cannot. That's your wish. So inside this constructor, what I am going to say is I am going to initialize this brand. So now inside this constructor, what we are going to see is we are going to initialize this brand. So by default values we are going to initialize. So assume that there is no values. By default we are giving some values. If user did not pass any values, like Samsung, this user did not pass. Suppose user did not pass these values. So simply user created an object. That's it. Then by default this constructor will be called, and inside these values will be assigned to our object. So now I will say default price. So I will say default price is some 200. So after this default price I will say the name. Now if you observe clearly, whenever you created an object and whenever you pass some values, then it will be I will also call with the help of object one, I will call the show method. So if you observe clearly, I just did nothing. Whatever we have done up to now, I just modified, that's it. I have created only one object over here, and I am calling the show method. So here we have the show method. So this class we have, so these variables we have seen already, but we have a new called constructor. So constructor, you don't need to worry, I will just explain it a simple bit. Constructor, the function syntax would be looking like this. A mobile, this would be same as the class name, and inside that whatever you want you can do that. So when this constructor can come into picture, whenever you created a new block or new object, that will be going to call our constructor. If you don't have an, so we will have a dedicated video on what is constructor, but let's see what happens. So suppose if you print something if you want to print something in the terminal, so this I want to print in the terminal. So let's see what happens. So you can see first it is printing I am in the constructor, then the prices are printing. Why it is so like that? Because first you are creating an object. So whenever you create a first object, then this constructor will be called. So that's very important. So after this constructor is called, see inside this constructor we are printing I am in constructor. So by default values are already initialized, but we are replacing that values with our own custom values. So after that we are calling the show method. So the show method will print according to our updated values. So these are updated values, these are printing in the terminal. Now what is meant by static block? So for the static block we have done all these stunt. So suppose I want to create another object in the same way that what we have seen before. So I will say object 2, the same concept. Now the constructor is called one time for the first time. So what if I run to see, boom, you can see the word constructor two times called and the object, sorry, I will also create another thing so that you can see clearly. So for the object 2 also I will call the show method. The show method I will call for this object 2 Apple also. So first time I calling with object 1, that is show method with the help of Samsung. For the second time I will call with the help of Apple. So I will just simply run. Then you can see. Then why it is printing constructor two times? Because I am creating two objects. I said whenever you create a new object, the constructor will be called. Here two times constructor is calling. I hope you understood my word. But the main issue is the name is fixed. The name is static here. So why should the name is initialized always? So that is the main issue. So name should not be initialized many more times, because whenever you call this constructor, all times the values will be reinitialized. So brand will be again null and price will be again 200 like that. So you don't want the smartphone, because that's the static that is same in throughout this code. So you don't want the constructor, that you don't want static variables to be initialized, because it is always constructor will call this constructor when you create an object, but inside this object you have a static word, so you don't want. So for that purpose only you have a static block. Inside the static block, whatever you want you can do like this. So but the static block will be executed only once. So if you want to check that, you can simply say, so you can simply check like this. So as you are creating two objects, you can see I am creating object 1 and object, so I am creating object 1 and object 2, and I am creating 2 times show. So basically for it has to initialize 2 times. So these two values will be initialized 2 times, and it will print 2 times I am in constructor. That's not a problem. But this name will be initialized only once. You can see that. See. So first of all it is printing I am in the static block, and next it is printing constructor and smartphone it is printing, because it is initializing brand 2 times, it is initializing the price 2 times, but it is initializing the name only once. So that's the main use of the static block. So this is known as static block. So with the help of the static block you can store how many static variables you have inside that. So I will simply say static block in the comment section. So now I hope you understood. Now you have a doubt that is this following a sequence, why it is first printing in the static block. So for checking that, if you want to check that is that any sequence is happening over there, so I will prove that also. Then I will run again. So you can see it is not having any sequence, so it is first again printing in the static block only. Wherever you place the static block, whether you place the static block in the top or whether you place the static block in the bottom, that does not make any sense, because static block solves only one purpose. When is static block created? When the class is created. So I will write a simple a comment also for here so that you can understand. So first of all, class is created. So you need to understand, first class is created, then object is created. So this is the way how the class and objects are created. First class is created, then object is created. So as first class is created, all the static variables will be initialized. So as we can see this, only we have one static variable. So inside the static variable block we have some printing statement as well. So that is the reason why it is always printing the static statement in the first itself. So after that we are creating an object. You can see we are creating two objects. This is first object, this is second object. So that is the reason it is going here in the constructor. It is printing this I am in constructor twice. You can see over here I am in constructor twice. So after that what we are doing is we are calling the show method. So it is coming here in the show method, and it is printing for the Apple and for the Samsung as well. So that is the thing that you need to understand. So the three things that we have seen in this video, that is what is static block. So this is known as static block, and what is we have already seen what is static method. I have removed that, and finally we have seen static keyword as well. So I hope you understood this video. Thanks for watching up to now.